Welcome back to Shattered Ice Gaming, and we are once again playing Mansions of Madness, Turn of a Page. And when last we left off, Tillinghast had expelled us from his esoterica, and finding ourselves on this strange beach, we have come face to face with one of the dreaded Star Spawn. Now, last time, if you remember, just before we were ejected from the esoterica, we got this grotesque stone for Tommy Muldoon. So just before we end our turn, we're going to see what that does. An investigator with the horrifying clay may move any number of monsters one space toward themselves at the end of the investigator phase. If they do, each monster that moved this way suffers 3 damage. Which means, as it's the end of our turn, this star spawn is almost guaranteed to move towards us and attack, and it doesn't cost us an action to use that horrifying clay. So we are going to use that to move the star spawn into our space, because that will inflict 3 points of damage on it, and then we will end our turn. When the scream begins, you believe it to be a human being crying out in fear. By the time the last echoes die, you can only conclude it is some sort of wild beast, far closer than you would like. Each investigator suffers 1 face-down horror. So we don't get a choice in the matter there, we each suffer a face-down horror. The star spawn moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator, then it attacks the investigator in its space or an adjacent space who has suffered the least damage. Which means even without using the star calendar, this is going to attack Harvey Walters, so the star spawn attacks him. The creature's powerful, rubbery hand closes around you and lifts you effortlessly into the air, then hurls you back to the ground, suffer 2 damage and become dazed. Oh, so he can't even block that. So he automatically just suffers 2 damage, which are both minor injuries, so luckily they both get flipped face down. And then he also becomes dazed, so he won't be able to use clues in his next turn. But he hasn't got any anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, then each investigator must resolve a horror check against the monster within range with the highest horror rating. So both Harvey and Tommy need to resolve horror checks against the star spawn. The creature looks upon you with immense disdain. Okay, so we both need to take a will check, and we need 2 successes. So we'll do Tommy first, and he does get 2 successes. And then we'll do Harvey, and Harvey also gets 2 successes. So we both pass. You bite your lip and force your knees to stop shaking. Flip 1 horror face up, then suffer 1 face down horror. Oof, that's pretty brutal. So Tommy flips 1 horror face up, minor shock. So that's just gets flipped face down. And then Harvey flips 1 horror face up, and his is also a minor shock. So it just gets flipped face back down. And then they each suffer 1 face down horror. So Tommy is now on 2 horror, and Harvey is on 4. Okay, so it's on to the investigators phase. And we're going to try and take out this star spawn, because otherwise it's just going to keep chasing us. But we can reveal these for free. So Tommy's going to go first, and we're going to reveal these 2 icons. The sand rises to a grassy area and a forbidding brick building. The back entrance to the brick building is located in an area of scrub grass rising from the beach below. The night hides what could be lurking in the tall grass. The door leads into the brick building. A low growl warns you of a beast not far away. Okay, so that was a really bad idea because there's another star spawn there, so I don't think we'll reveal this token. Okay, we might be as well running here. Okay, what we're going to try and do is have Harvey Walters go and see what's in here, see if we can find a way out, and Tommy Muldoon is going to play with these two star spawns. So we're going to go with Tommy first, and he's going to use the Tommy gun to attack them. So we're going to attack this one because it's already been weakened. So we're attacking with a firearm. At the sight of the beast, your hands begin to shake and you struggle to reload your weapon. Okay, so we need to do a will check, as we are so scared of fighting this beast. And we need 2 successes. Oh, and we only get 1. The ammunition clatters to the ground, and you fall to your knees to collect it. Okay, so that did nothing, unfortunately. But we can try attacking it again. But I was kind of relying on doing a lot of damage with that, so that's really unfortunate. I think we'll try attacking it again. We'll try one more time. You move cautiously, careful to make no noise or alert the creature to your intentions. Okay, so now we do an agility test. And his agility is 4, and we need 2 successes. And this time we do get 2 successes. You sneak into a firing position and shoot the beast before it notices you. The monster suffers damage equal to the weapon's damage, so we deal 4 damage to that star spawn. Okay, and now Harvey Walters is going to have to try and escape from it. So he has to do an evasion check. The creature attempts to idly pull your limbs apart with innumerable, thin, and impossibly strong tentacles. Suffer 1 face-down damage and 1 horror. Strength negates. So we have a strength of 3. And he gets 2 successes, so he successfully negates both the horror and the damage. And then he gets to move. So he's going to move into this space. He is going to interact with this token. You open the door to a dank cellar. Piles of junk offer no useful objects to your current crisis, but could be used to block doors as needed. Okay, so we place 2 barricade tokens in there. This door leads farther into the building. You may move 1 space into the explored area. Okay, yeah, Harvey's going to move into there. And then he could use an action to barricade this door, but he's not going to. He's going to try and explore further in his next turn, so he's just going to move another space to here. And now Tommy Muldoon is going to use that star calendar. And at the start of the Mythos phase, Tommy Muldoon is going to suffer 1 horror, which is nyctophobia. Whenever you end your turn in a space with darkness, suffer 1... Oh no, that's terrible. That's the worst thing we could have got. So he's going to have to start running, because this darkness is going to keep... It's going to keep putting more horror onto him. But because he's used that, it means the star spawn aren't going to... they're not going to pay any attention to him. You hear a splash, and out of the dark, a gall-dripping black fluid flies furiously at your face. This Mythos event affects the investigator in a beach, dock, or pier with the highest strength, so it's going to be Tommy Muldoon because he's the only one there. The foal's wings, claws, and beak leave no wounds, but the noise and stench is unbearable. Suffer 3 horror. Will +1 negates, so he's going to get to roll 4 dice for this. And he successfully blocks 2 of that horror, so he takes 1 horror, which is paranoia. Every noise makes you startle and jump. Even your companions unnerve you. Whenever you end your turn within range of another investigator, flip 1 horror face up. Oh, and we've got that nyctophobia, which should be face up as well. Oh, these are really bad. So within range means within, I believe it's 3 spaces and line of sight. No, 2 spaces. So we can't get close to Harvey and we can't stay in the dark, so this is pretty bad for us. And then we have to flip all of our other horror face up as well. So we've got aware of the void. Traumatized by your experiences, you wish nothing more than to escape the here and now. Oh, become lost in time and space. Oh, okay. Right. Then discard this card. And then this is a minor shock, so this just gets flipped face down. So when we become lost in time and space, we draw one of these cards. Remove your figure from the board. You are unaffected by other game effects and cannot perform other actions. The only action we can do is flip this card. So at least it keeps him safe, though. So Tommy Muldoon disappears into some nebulous, ethereal world. Okay, so the star spawn moves 1 space towards the nearest investigator. So they're both going to move to here. So we tell it no investigators in this space, which tells us the star spawn moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator. So it moves to there. But this second star spawn, he moved 1, and then he doesn't move any further. Okay, so now Harvey Walters needs to do a horror check against that star spawn. The creature moves with a glacial slowness, though you cannot tell if it is simply a dulling of your sense of time. We test will and we need 3 successes. And that is definitely a fail. You find your own body feels dreadfully heavy and your eyelids seem to struggle to stay open. Suffer 2 horror and become dazed. Okay, so we're dazed again. And we suffer 2 horror. So the first one is dementia. You turn away, already feeling the fog of memory clouding your mind. It is a mercy, truly. Resolve immediately. Discard 1 clue, then flip this face down. Okay, that's fine because we don't have any clues. But he's now on 5 horror. And then the second one is a minor shock, so no additional effects, so we flip it face down. So he's on 6 horror now. Oh, and he became dazed and stunned. So we also get a stun card, which means we can only perform 1 action this turn. Okay, so we're going to do Harvey first because he needs to get out of there. So he is going to interact with this token here. The door leads farther into the building. An unfinished part of the building has seawater seeping up through its sandy floor. On one set of shelves, survival supplies have been wrapped in a tarpaulin. If you could find some oil there, that could help you secure a way out of here. Okay, so this tells us to place the oil lamp item in this space here. Another door is shut tight against the cold sea air. You may move 1 space into the explored area. Okay, so we're going to move into there. Okay, so we're going to move 1 space into there. And that's the end of Harvey's turn. So, Tommy Muldoon has to spend an action to resolve this lost in time and space. So this tells us, City of the Great Race, the denizens of this world are welcoming, but you feel uneasy. Observation, 2 successes. And we get 3 successes. If you pass, you realise the creatures would keep you. Suffer 1 face down horror, then place your investigator figure in any explored space and discard this card. Okay, so Tommy Muldoon magically rematerialises very conveniently up here with this oil lantern. And we are no longer lost in time and space. So we're going to use our second action to collect that oil lantern, which thankfully is a light source. So Tommy doesn't have to worry about the darkness anymore, so his nyctophobia won't affect him. But he is within range of Harvey, so he takes 1 horror. But it is face down, fortunately. Okay, and that is the end of that turn. Skittering and creeping, 100,000 spiders emerge from their hiding places. Tommy Muldoon scrambles to avoid the worst of their bites. Okay, so we have to test agility and we need 2 successes. So we roll our 4 dice, and we only get 1. He receives many bites, and the venom makes the world warp around him. Tommy Muldoon suffers 1 face down damage and 2 horror, and becomes stunned. Oh dear. So he suffers a face down damage, which puts him on 4, and then he suffers 2 horror, which are face up. So his first one is frayed nerves. You breathe deeply, but it fails to restore your calm. You feel as if the slightest thing will push you over the edge. Keep face up, roll 1 fewer dice while resolving a will test. Oh dear. And then he suffers another horror, which is also face up. Absolute terror. The only thing louder than your pounding heart is your desperate, ragged breathing. Resolve immediately. Suffer 1 additional face down horror, then flip this card face down. Oh, that's awful. So that gets flipped face down, and we suffer an additional face down horror. Now Tommy's sanity is 7, and he's just taken his 7th horror card. So when that happens, what we do is we discard all of our face down horror. We keep the face up ones, and Tommy gains an insanity condition. So we draw an insanity card, and now in a game with multiple players, you would read this and keep it to yourself, So it tells you here, look at the back of this card, but do not reveal it to the other investigators. When you have suffered horror equal to your sanity, you are eliminated. So we look at the back. Oh, okay, so this is for if there's 2+ players. This is players, not investigators. So, unfortunately, I'll need to draw another one. Okay, so this one is for 1+ players. So, prepared. You know now that anything can go wrong at any moment. Without the proper tools, all might be lost. You do not win the game as normal. Instead, you win only if the investigation is complete and you have one or more bladed weapons or light source. Oh, well, that's really lucky because he has that oil lantern, so he does have a light source. So that now stays with him. And if his horror cards go back up to 7, so he's already got 3, so if he gets another 4 horror cards, whether they're face up or face down, he is eliminated. Another foe appears from the night, seemingly called to the attack by Tillingast's strange treachery. Okay, so we spawn a ghost down here. Another foe appears from the night, seemingly called to the attack by Tillingast's strange treachery. And now we also spawn a Hound of Tindalos down here. Star Spawn moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator, so he's going to move 1 space to there. But there's no investigators in that space or adjacent. So the Star Spawn moves 1 space towards the nearest investigator. So now it moves into here. And the next Star Spawn moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator, which means it moves to there. But there's no investigator in that space or adjacent, which means it moves 1 more space to there. The spirit sinks into the ground, disappearing from sight. After a few moments, the spectre reappears. The ghost moves to Harvey Walter's space, then it attacks him. Oh dear, so the ghost just teleports up here. So the ghost is now in Harvey Walter's space, and it's going to attack him. With a single-minded determination, the spectre calls out over and over, begging and screaming for your soul. Okay, we have to test an influence, but lucky for us, our influence is 4. And we get 3 successes, and we only need 2, so we pass. You confront the spirit, and your words seem to have a palpable effect. The monster suffers 1 damage. The Hound of Tindalos moves 3 spaces towards the nearest investigator. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3 to there. So now we have to take a horror check against the Star Spawn, because we only take a horror check against the enemy with the highest horror rating. The creature moves with a glacial slowness, though you cannot tell if it is simply a dulling of your sense of time. Okay, so we have to do a will check of 3. Which unfortunately for Tommy Muldoon, he has this frayed nerves, which reduces his dice rolled by 1, so he actually can't pass. But Harvey Walters might be able to. No, Harvey Walters only gets 2 successes, so they both fail. You find your own body feels dreadfully heavy, and your eyelids seem to struggle to stay open. Suffer 2 horror and become dazed and stunned. So they both get dazed and stunned, and they each suffer 2 horror. So Tommy Muldoon will take these 2. Oh, he's just getting all the bad things, isn't he? So he's got paranoia. So whenever you end your turn within range of another investigator, flip 1 horror face up. So that stays face up. So he's on 4. And then hallucinations. Everywhere you look, you see horrible shadows of ghosts from your past. You cannot bear to look any longer. So now he rolls 1 fewer dice on observation tests. So he's got 5 face-up cards now, so he is really in a bad way. And then Harvey Walters takes these 2. So he's got claustrophobia. It is too close in here, too tight. You cannot breathe. You must get to open air. Whenever you end your turn within range of 2 or fewer spaces, suffer 1 face-down horror. So that means if he ends on a tile like one of these with only 2 spaces, in an enclosed area, he's going to he's going to suffer face-down horror. And then panic. You scream, leaping desperately away and tumble to the ground. Suffer 1 additional face-down damage, then flip this card face down. So they're both face up. Well, that one flips face down, but he suffers another damage, putting him on 4 damage. And that is 8 horror cards on him. So this is not going well at all for us. But it's back to the investigator phase, and we only have one action each, so there's not even a lot we can do here. So yeah, we've only got one action each. So we're just going to try and escape because we can't fight all of this. So he's going to try and evade. The creature attempts to idly pull your limbs apart with innumerable thin and impossibly strong tentacles. Okay, so his strength will negate this. So he suffers 1 damage and 1 horror. If you suffer the damage, you cannot escape the creature's grasp. Forfeit your action. So we're going to have to take the horror, which means sudden shock. Drop 2 random items and flip this card face down. Okay, so he now gains an insanity card. So he gets restless anxiety. You are suddenly stricken with the sense that your life up to this point has been not only boring but pointless. Life is too short to not experience as much of the world as possible. Variety is the spice of life after all. You cannot perform any single action more than once each round. You win or lose the game as normal. Oh, so he can only perform different actions. He can't move twice or anything like that. But thankfully it gets rid of a lot of those other insanity cards on him. And he didn't have any other face-up ones, so... Oh, he does drop 2 random items. You can't drop spells, but you can drop evidence. So we'll just shuffle those, and this one, and this one. No, he would drop his evidence, wouldn't he? So he drops the 45s and the grizzly mask in that space. But then he gets to move, so he's going to move to there. And now Tommy Muldoon is going to have to move through this space because we have a dashed line here, which means you can't cross it, but you can see through it. So he's going to move into here, and then he's going to try and evade. Stray objects seem to skitter toward the creature, drawn in by an impossible gravity. You feel as though you are standing on a steep slope and begin sliding across the floor towards the creature. Okay, so he does a strength test, and he needs 2 successes. And he does get them both. You manage to struggle through the force, so he gets to continue his movement to there. Okay, unfortunately we're going to have to abandon that mask, but I don't think we're going to last much longer here. A grubby urchin dashes up to you, claiming to have an urgent message for the buying. This merciless event affects the investigator with the highest law. That is going to be Harvey Walters. Shrewdly examining the child, you doubt the message is worth the price and try to haggle. Okay, so we test influence and we need 3 successes. And we get 2 and we have no clues, so we fail. When you refuse to pay, the urchin shoves you into an open ditch with spiteful glee. Flip all your damage face up and discard 1 improvement. Well, we don't have any improvements, but we do have 4 damage. So we've got a broken leg. You fall as pain lances up your leg. When you try to stand, you fall over again. If you move more than a single space as part of a move action, flip 1 damage face up. Okay, and then we have the pinched nerve. At the end of your turn, if you have not performed the move action this round, flip this card face down. And then those 2 are face down. Okay, that's not great, but it could be worse. Okay, so the Star Spawn moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator. So he's going to move into that space. And then he attacks the investigator in that space with the highest health, which is going to be Tommy Muldoon. Oh, these would have gone away now, though. The creature lumbers forward before lashing out with a sudden twist. A massive claw slams into you, driving the breath from your lungs with bone-cracking force. Suffer 4 damage, strength negates. So thankfully we do have a strength of 4, and we negate 1 damage. So we take 3 damage cards. We've got 2 minor injuries, and knocked loose. The pain you feel transcends reality. Become lost in time and space. And then discard that card. So we draw another Lost in Time and Space card, and Tommy Muldoon is once again teleported to the Nether Realm. The star spawn moves one space toward the nearest investigator. Okay, so this star spawn moves to here, and then he doesn't move again. The ghost will move into the space with Harvey Walters, and then it attacks him. The spirit's eyes widen at the sight of you, and in the span of a single heartbeat, it is upon you. Okay, so we have to test Will 4. And we get 3 successes. You hold your ground, and the ghost passes through you harmlessly. The Hound of Tindalos moves to the farthest investigator within range. No investigators in range because it's not in the same room. The Hound of Tindalos coils into an unknowable space beyond and reappears just as suddenly. The Hound of Tindalos moves to a space within range of as many investigators as possible. So it just teleports there, but at least it doesn't attack him. And then we have to do a horror check. The creature's mind floods yours with arcane information that you barely comprehend. Suffer 4 horror, law negates. So thankfully we do have a law of 4. But we don't roll anything. So we take 4 horror. So we have got minor shock. Okay, they're all minor shocks, that's good. So it's just 4 face down horror. So the first thing we're going to do is Harvey Walters is going to try and run through this door. So he needs to do an evasion check. The creature reaches out with a single massive hand and tries to catch you. Okay, so he needs an agility test, which he only has an agility of 2, and he needs 2 successes. And he only gets 1. It bats you aside with crushing strength. Suffer 3 damage. Okay, so he'll suffer 1 damage, which is motion sickness. The bile rises in your throat with every sudden shift. Keep face up. You cannot spend clues. Oh, great. Okay. So that goes face up. And then he becomes injured. So these get discarded. We don't draw any more damage for him because he's just become wounded. But he gains a wounded card, which tells us you cannot perform the move action more than once each round. When you've suffered damage equal to your health, you are eliminated. So if he takes 2 more points of damage, that's it, he is dead. But we now get to interact with that token. The warehouse door is securely shut. Okay, so we open the warehouse door. This brick building is a warehouse that has been unused for many years. An abandoned tool is a pitiful defence against the horrors gathering outside, but still better than nothing. So we place the crowbar in this space. Covered in a canvas sheet, you find an old supply truck parked in the warehouse storage. It is large enough to carry all of you, and its solid steel construction could force a hole through the waves of monsters outside. You have found your escape. Okay, so we place an interact token there. The warehouse shelves could be used to block the doors and buy you some time. You may move 1 space into the explored area. Okay, so thankfully, Harvey gets to move into the explored area. And he has 1 action remaining, so he's going to use that action to put this shelving unit in the way of this door, which barricades it. Now, it won't last long, but it might buy us a turn. Okay, so Tommy Muldoon is going to have to flip this card. You find yourself in a strange submerged city and try not to panic. Okay, so we have to test Will, and we need 2 successes, and unfortunately he only gets to roll 2 dice. Oh, but he does it. You recognise some symbols on the non-Euclidean buildings and escape. Place your investigator figure in any explored space and discard this card. Okay, that's actually just really helped us because we can put Tommy Muldoon next to this truck, and then with his second action he's going to interact with that truck. The old truck is as solid as a fortress and could be your escape from the monsters Tillinghast threw you to. However, you will need to repair the truck to return to Arkham. An investigator with the oil lamp unique item may interact with the truck to repair it, and he does have the oil lamp, so he's going to interact with the truck. However, it still needs more work before it will run again. Okay, so we need to test observation, and because of that hallucinations, we're only going to be rolling 3 dice, not 4. So we don't know how many successes we need either. But we get 2. You must pause to wipe sweat away from your eyes. The truck will not run without more work. Okay. So that is the end of the turn, and we need to hope that this barricade holds out. With a start, Tommy Muldoon snaps out of a fugue state to see smashed finery and deep gouges on the nearby walls. Could he have caused this damage in a blind rage? Tommy Muldoon suffers 3 damage, strength +1 negates. So luckily for Tommy, he's going to get to roll 5 dice here. And he gets 2 successes and 2 clues. He gets to roll 1 more, and that's 3 successes. So he's fine. He doesn't suffer any of that damage. Okay, now the monsters are going to try and break through this barricade. So each monster will try to smash it when it moves, and we'll start with this star spawn. So the way this works is each monster has a brawl value. And the star spawn, unsurprisingly, rolls all 4 dice. And if it gets 2 successes, it smashes the barricade. But it only gets 1, so this star spawn doesn't do anything. The next star spawn will try to smash the barricade, and it also only gets 1 success, so it does nothing. The ghost, because it's a ghost, it passes through the wall. It doesn't actually pay any attention to the barricade, so it moves into there. The ghost moves 1 space toward the nearest investigator, then it attacks the investigator in its space with the lowest will, which is of course going to be Harvey Walters. The spirit appears before you, revealing itself to be your deceased grandmother. She reaches forward, a warm smile on her face. Okay, so we have to do an observation check, and we need 2 successes. So fortunately for Harvey, he tests with 4 dice, and he gets 2 successes. You catch her hand before she touches you, and it tears like tissue paper from her shoulder. The monster suffers 1 damage. The Hound of Tindalos moves to the investigators. Okay, so the Hound of Tindalos has, I believe it is 3 brawl the Hound of Tindalos has, if I remember correctly. And it doesn't roll any successes anyway, so it doesn't manage to get through there. And we have the ghost in the room with us, so we have to resolve a horror check against the ghost. The spirit cries out in terror. The walls are closing. Look around you. Looking around, you realise that the room has indeed grown smaller. Suffer 2 horror, will -1 negates. So Tommy Muldoon will only roll 1 die for this. And it's a success, so he takes 1 horror, which is Steely Resolve. You swallow your fear and take a deep breath. Resolve immediately, become stunned, then flip this card face down. Dash is stunned and become focused. So that's handy, but 1 more horror on Tommy Muldoon and he's dead. And then Harvey takes a will check with 3 dice. And he succeeds on both, so he doesn't take any horror. And now it is the investigator's phase. The first thing Tommy Muldoon is going to do is he's going to try and fix this truck. So he rolls his 3 dice for his observation. And he gets 1 success and 2 clues. So he's going to use that focus he got to turn it into 3 successes. And you must pause to wipe sweat away from your eyes. The truck will not run without more work. Oh, we need to do even more work to it. Okay, so we've got 1 more chance at this. So he's going to try to fix the truck again. And this time he gets 2 successes. And it's still not working. Oh, so Harvey Walters is going to have to do this. So Harvey's going to need to do an evade check. You turn your back to the spirits, but feel its bleak presence tingling your spine. Okay, so we do a willpower 4 check. And we get 2 successes, so we pass. You continue on your way, heedless of the pressure. Okay, so he's going to move to there. And now he is going to try and fix the truck. So he has an observation of 4. And he gets 2 successes. The roar of the fixed engine makes you cheer like a child at a carnival. You have a way to escape this trap. You only hope you can make it back to Arkham before the doom you feel is still rising. Each investigator may flip 2 horror face down. Okay, so let's flip our horror face down. Your ally, Andy, dashes around to the bed of the truck and hurriedly waves to you to drive. Place Andy as indicated. Once all investigators and at least one artifact are in this space, the investigation is complete. And we are all in that space. Come on, we have to go now. The Arkham Advertiser is never going to believe the story I have for them. After a month of trucks, trains, and a torturous ride in the hold of a cargo ship, you arrive back in Arkham. Tillingast's shop has disappeared entirely, and your plan to confront the enigmatic businessman will have to wait. Your allies, including Andy Van Nortwick, need your help more than ever as monstrosities rise from the ocean. The doom of Arkham has come. As your efforts to save Arkham take their toll on your mind and body, you cannot help but dwell on the powerful artifacts you have gained. Where did they really come from? Who is Randall Tillingast? And why did he try to stop you from returning to Arkham? Most importantly, what will the consequences of your pact with him be? This is only one glimpse into the story of the drowned city. To learn more about the artifacts, Tillingast, and what doom is rising in Arkham, check out Arkham Horror the card game. The end. So that is going to be a expansion to Arkham Horror the card game, which is very good. I might get it to see where that story goes. But that is a look at the newest scenario for Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. And that was pretty good fun. It was very difficult, that. Very, very difficult. You got very few clue tokens. And I do feel like running from these monsters at the end was a bit of a mistake. I think with that Tommy gun and all the weapons I had, I would have actually been better off just shooting them and hoping for some better dice rolls. Because as soon as I started running, that was it. I just had to keep running from them because there was, Tommy Muldoon kept getting teleported in time and space, which is a mechanic in this game I'm a little bit funny on. I don't know whether I like it or not. I kind of do wish that you could only play with certain expansions, because the Lost in Time and Space rule was a rule that they brought in with one of the expansions. And unfortunately, you can't just have characters or map tiles or monsters available. You have to have the entire expansion available. So it means if you are using anything from that expansion, then you have to use that rule. And I'm honestly not a huge fan of it. I don't like the way it takes you off the board, because actions are already at a bit of a premium in this game. But anyway, that's enough rambling from me. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed a little jaunt into the world of horror and Mansions of Madness. And yeah, if this game looks like something you'd be interested in, then it's I think it's still available. I'm not sure if it's out of print now, to be honest. It probably isn't, because they're still making scenarios for it. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and as usual, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.